Muy buen día, espero que estén todos muy bien y que estén disfrutando del FIC Monterrey en esta edición 18ª. Estoy hoy muy contenta, especialmente porque tenemos esta charla con Bonnie Williams, que es una máster del pitch y que nos va a dejar mucha información y vamos a aprender mucho. Pero antes quiero decir que nos hubiera gustado mucho hacer esta charla y estos talleres porque Bonnie va a dar un taller el próximo sábado 27 de agosto. Inscríbanse. Ahora que la escuchen, creo que se van a enamorar de todo lo que nos va a decir y de todo lo que nos va a transmitir todos sus conocimientos. Y entonces el sábado 27 de agosto hay un masterclass, una charla que va a dar ella, un taller, no es un masterclass, más bien es como un workshop que va a impartir, es privado, entonces busquen información en las redes sociales del festival y si alguien está interesado en tomarlo, escriban a industria@ficmonterrey.com, industria@monterreyfilmfestival.com para que pues puedan pedir información. Y bueno, pues nada, muy bien, muy buen día, Bonnie, bienvenida al FIC Monterrey. Muchísimas gracias por estar aquí. Bonnie Williams habla perfecto español, me entiende todo, pero ella se siente más cómoda y vamos a hacer la charla en inglés. Yo le voy a preguntar en español, ella va a contestar en inglés. Sin embargo, de todas formas, van ustedes a escuchar a nuestra traductora simultánea, a la quien agradecemos muchísimo, a Socorro, que va a estar haciendo el doblaje o la traducción simultánea más bien de Bonnie. Y bueno, agradezco también al equipo de industria, a Jess y a Dori, que siempre están aquí detrás de las pantallas para ayudarnos a hacer esto posible. Aquí no está claro. Y pues nada, vamos a comenzar. Bonnie, te agradezco muchísimo por este tiempo y por tus conocimientos y por tu insistencia para que pudiéramos hacer esto posible. Entonces, Bonnie, tú eres experta en pitching. Entonces, sobre eso vamos a hacer esta charla. Es el arte de hacer networking en festivales. Ya estamos en el FIC Monterrey. Ustedes pueden acceder a algunas funciones, eventos o en los pasillos, en los momentos en los que nos encontramos con gente de la industria cinematográfica. Y entonces, cómo aprovechar estos espacios para hacer networking y aprovecharlos para nuestros proyectos futuros. Entonces, Bonnie, ¿cómo estás?
I'm good, thank you. It's really nice to be here, and it's really nice to talk to all of you, even though you're going to hear somebody else speaking for me, because I don't dare yet. En español, quizás el año que viene.
Sí, seguro. Lo vamos a lograr, Bonnie, lo vamos a lograr. Bien, Bonnie, tú sabes que la gran mayoría del público del FIC Monterrey es gente muy joven, mucha gente en formación, incluso estudiantes de las áreas audiovisuales, de comunicación, de cine, que vienen al FIC Monterrey a veces por primera vez, a veces ya son varios años. Y hay otro número importante de público que nos sigue, que nos escucha y que es gente igual joven, pero con pocos años de trayectoria en el medio. O hay veces a lo mejor incluso que tenemos muchos años y que no nos queda muy claro cómo aprovechar el networking en un festival de cine y cómo lograr que toda la gente con la que coincidimos pues podamos sacar algo de provecho, digamos, para nuestro beneficio ahora o en un futuro. Entonces, por ahí es por donde me gustaría comenzar un poco preguntándote de qué me puede servir si yo soy una estudiante, digamos, pensando en mis momentos de estudiante, aunque el Festival de Monterrey no existía cuando yo era estudiante, pero si yo fuera un estudiante que voy a lo mejor en tercero, en cuarto semestre, en octavo, tal vez ya voy a graduarme, ¿de qué me sirve hacer networking en un festival de cine? ¿En el FIC Monterrey o en otro?
Well, I think in this whole world, this industry of ours, the film industry, it's really very often the way you move is really based on who you know. It's about relationships.
Right.
You don't make films alone, so you always have to work with people. And yeah, I mean, it's really based on. I think success is also based very much based on your talent, but also very much based not only on what you know, but who you know. And the best way to meet people and to develop relationships is in these opportunities of festivals and informal festivals or informal opportunities at the bar, at the cafe, when you're standing waiting in line to see a movie. All those opportunities are or all those situations or chances to meet somebody who you don't know, who may be your future partner. And that's the way this world works, basically. It's all based on
Relaciones públicas, no public relationships.
yeah. Yeah.
¿Y cómo, digamos, si estoy en una función, vamos a suponer, ¿no? Estoy en una película, en una función de un largometraje, yo soy estudiante, estoy haciendo mis cortometrajes, pero entonces hay un productor, un director, una directora, una productora, un equipo de producción que tiene una película, a lo mejor segunda o tercera película, que tienen más experiencia, evidentemente, que yo. Así llego y nada más de que, hola, soy Janet. ¿Qué recomiendas? Cuéntanos.
Well, the first thing is that all these other people, a producer, a decision maker, somebody who you respect, they're also people. Everybody is a person, and everybody in that sense is equal. So the most important thing about I think the most important thing to remember is you're coming here and you want to create a connection. To any kind of connection. So even if you go over and say, hi, I'm Janet, it's nice to have something else to say after that, because who cares? But I mean, so I often find that people like the way to make a connection very often is to talk. It's not to focus on yourself, but to focus on the other person there. So if you see somebody who you want to talk to because they've made a film that you like, or you respect their work, it's always easy to give a compliment or to ask a question or to be honest or to just be yourself. You're not there to throw anything at somebody or to push yourself on somebody. But it's very often, if you're standing online with somebody or waiting, you can just say, hey, I recognize you. I loved your last film. Or you can even say, hey, I like your earrings, and talk about something in the present, just to make a connection, because it's a human connection that you're looking for in the first place. You don't have to, it's not a profession speaking to a profession. It's two human beings speaking to each other. And I think a lot of people forget that, and they get nervous. They get nervous about that's an important person and I'm only a student. And that's, to me, ridiculous, because you're also important. Everybody's important.
Sabes que justo creo que nos puede suceder a gente con mucha trayectoria, mucha experiencia. Hay veces que yo me siento intimidada por colegas que tienen, no sé, 10, 15, 20, 50 películas, ¿no? Producidas o de cualquier forma, ¿no? Y luego ya justamente esto que dices, cuando ya hay algún acercamiento de alguna manera, pues es eso, estás hablando entre seres humanos de el calor, del frío, de si te gustó la película de alguien más o no, de cómo te sentiste, y no necesariamente eso como una especie de acercamiento de forma profesional. No es un profesional hablando con otro profesional, es una persona hablando con otra persona. Y sabes qué bonito que nos lo recuerdas, porque creo que se nos olvida y entonces nos podemos sentir intimidados por un ejecutivo. O sea, porque, a ver, lo pienso y creo que lo mismo si me voy a sentar a la mesa a platicar con tal vez, no sé, un ejecutivo de Netflix para proponerle un proyecto, ¿no? Si empiezo la charla con el pensamiento de que somos personas y que los dos estamos sintiendo algo, pues creo que de ahí partimos de una base que nos puede dar más seguridad, ¿no? Tal vez.
Yeah, and I always make a funny comparison when you're working, when you're looking for somebody who you might want to be a partner with in the future. It's literally a partner, a relationship. It's almost like a marriage, or it's almost like
Sí.
because when you're making a film, it takes years. You have to get involved in closely. So I always look at, if you go backwards, like how do you meet your first person? And before you could get on even have a first date, and nowadays, if you look at these opportunities, it's sort of like a Tinder date. You have Tinder there, right? So the first thing is like how you present yourself, and then and it's two ways, because there might be somebody who you think, oh, they're an important person, but you might not like the way they feel. It might not be somebody who you even want to be in a relationship with. But I always say that the first step is like your profile, your Tinder profile is you present yourself just the way you are, and then you look and you feel each other out, and then you kind of decide if you're going to swipe left or right, and if you're going to go talk to them. And then the first contact, and that first contact is really just about who is this person in front of me.
Uh-huh.
And it's the same. And if you think of it that way, and then you talk about, well, what are your interests? And before you get into the real specifics of, before you get into talking about being instrumental about this is my film, or this is my pitch, or this is my project, or I want to work with you, or something like that, you have to first kind of ease into it and decide for yourself also, do I even want to get to know this person? Do I think this person might be somebody who can help me, and not just that they're an important person to know? And it's interesting because it's a shift in the way you think. It's a shift in your mindset, but it makes it much easier to go somewhere, and it makes it much easier to talk to somebody and to realize that it's not only about if that person wants to speak to you, but if you want to speak to them.
Claro.
So, yeah.
Muchas gracias, Bonnie. Ahora, regresando un poquito como a la postura, a la posición, a los pies de un cineasta, una cineasta en formación, una cineasta joven. Digamos que, no sé, a mí me gustan las películas de superhéroes o de o de comedias románticas, y estoy en una función que me encargó mi maestra de un documental, y me cae bien la persona, me gustó el documental, es productor, productora, directora de esta película, de este documental. Me conviene acercarme con estas personas, a proponerle, a platicarles de mis proyectos. A lo mejor estoy haciendo un thriller, mi cortometraje de tesis es una película de terror, estoy intentando hacer una película de terror para mi tesis. Entonces, ¿de qué manera me sirve el acercarme con estos productores que se dedican a hacer cine documental? ¿Me sirve? ¿Me funciona?
No, we know that this industry, film industry, is about relationships, about who you know. So everybody knows somebody. So even though this person might not be interested in your project, if they become interested in you, and you can present your project, and I'll talk about that in a minute, or present yourself in a way that they remember you, they might know somebody who they could connect you with in the future. Oh yeah, I met this person at FICmonterrey, and they were talking about, oh yeah, I have the card, or oh yes, I remember that person. So it's always, I mean, it always makes sense if you can have a connection with somebody, to make the connection.
Okay.
And again, I always say it's not about being functional. It's about being human. And that's because you never know who knows who and what interests. And you could be talking to a documentary maker who has is developing a thriller. You don't know what you can't see. So I always think that it's worth it. And they might be very interesting anyway, and you might end up becoming interested in documentary instead of thriller because of a conversation that you have with this other person too. So I think it's about keeping your mind open. On the other hand, if you get the opportunity to really pitch a specific project, yeah, then I don't know if it's so necessary to. I mean, then I think it's more a question of being able to say, first of all, you have to be able to pitch your project in one sentence or two sentences. And then you can always ask, does this interest you? Is this something that we could talk about or no? And then if the other person says, yeah, it sounds great, but good luck, then you know the conversation is finished. But it's about opening yourself up and making decisions. And I think that it's really important to not worry about being strategic.
Okay.
But to stay open and also be strategic, because if you see somebody that you do want to speak to make sure that when you get the opportunity to speak to them, that you're ready, really ready to effectively introduce yourself.
Claro.
And that's something that you can prepare.
No ser estratégicos, claro, no estar pensando en la estrategia, aunque sí hay que estar preparados. Totalmente.
Yeah.
Y bueno, digo, sé un poco la respuesta a esto que te quiero preguntar porque yo lo he aplicado, pero me parece que es muy importante que dentro de esta charla tú nos lo platiques. O sea, si yo estoy haciendo mis propios cortometrajes, mis películas cortas todavía, ¿cómo, o sea, es válido? Obviamente es, ¿no? Pero ¿cómo me propongo, cómo propongo mi trabajo, cómo propongo mi poca experiencia a un director o a una directora, a lo mejor a un cinefotógrafo, a lo mejor a un vestuarista, a alguien, digamos, con más experiencia, pero sobre todo que tiene proyectos de largometraje? Y cómo es, o sea, ¿estarían estas personas interesadas después en trabajar en proyectos pequeños, en proyectos tal vez sin presupuesto, en proyectos de cortometraje, si estas personas ya están en una industria más consolidada, trabajando, digamos, día con día, haciendo proyectos de documental o de ficción, o incluso series, o incluso haciendo trabajos de publicidad, que es mucho el grueso de la industria en este país, ¿no? Que mucha gente a eso se dedica en el día a día, a hacer comerciales, ¿no? Spots comerciales.
And what is the question?
O sea, ¿cómo es válido acercarme, pero luego, digamos que cómo lo aprovecho esta experiencia de esta gente de más, la experiencia de la gente con más trayectoria para mis futuros proyectos?
Well, first of all, I think it's really important when you have the opportunity to speak to people who have more experience, they can always help you. So it's really important. And everybody started somewhere. That's the other thing I want to say. Everybody started somewhere. And I want to say one other thing. In the way that the industry is going now, it's so important to have your short films are almost like your business card. They can show your talent. They can show how you tell a story, and so it's really great to get people interested enough to want to see it. And also, it's easier to see a short film than to see a long one. So it's a two-way thing. And I think it's really important to keep yourself open to working with people who, in any way that you can, so that you can get the most experience that you can get and see how different people work. And again, when you're just starting out, also in order to get work, people have to see something in you that they think is interesting for them. So basically, because people are always, and this is the same thing for a pitch or for anything, people always listen. And even the way people are listening right now, people always listen with this idea of what is in this for me? Why should I listen to this conversation? So when you're meeting somebody, they're always thinking like, okay, is this person, maybe can I work with them? Is it interesting? Or and it's not necessarily, oh, they only do short films, so they're not interesting, because maybe it's exciting to work with somebody who's new and fresh. Yeah. So I think it's always important to present yourself in the best light that you can. And I think a way to do that is to always have your what I call your cold open, your opening introduction little thing. Always have it ready. Always know that you can, whoever talks to you, that you have an answer. And there are 3 questions that I think you need to ask yourself. Okay. And the first question, so the first question is, who are you? Basically. The second question is, what is your project, or what do you do? Okay. Yeah. And the third is, why? What is your personal motivation? Why do you make films? Why are you a film camera cineast, the DOP, or a photographer? Why are you here? Why do you do what you do? Because and what drives you? And not necessarily like, what do you want to be when you grow up? But but why do you do what you do? Claro. Because that is really, or how do you see the world, or something about you personally that has less to do with your experience, but everything to do with your own, the way you approach the world. Okay. Because, yeah.
No. Bueno, nada más, bien rápido te interrumpo para preguntarte, cuando hablas de quién soy, ¿es simplemente decir mi nombre o hablar un poco más de mi experiencia?
No, well, the first thing is, if there's something, you can always put in something like, I might say, hi, I'm Bonnie. Oh yeah, I used to be an actress, but now I work on the other side of the camera.
Okay.
Or something like that. Or you can say, I'm from a little town in the middle of nowhere. Or, hi, I'm the third of 12 children. Whatever you want, whatever it is that you are, it's nice to say something. Or, hi, I'm Bonnie, and I have 3 chickens and 2 pigs in the yard. Anything that makes you want to, anything that you think is something about who you are. And then, and all these things, what I call just now the cold open, is just something that you can have, like, you might never have to use it. You might never have to say it. But you might be standing next to somebody who and you hear them say, I'm from this town, and you can turn around, oh, me too. And puff, you have a connection already, and that's who I am. And yeah, or why you're here, just something that's really close to you. And I think I hope that everybody can take a moment to reflect, like, why do you do what you do? Why are you here at FICmonterrey? Why do you make films? Why do you want to make films or be part of making films? There's a reason. There's a reason you're not like an Olympic swimmer somewhere else.
So. Bueno, sabes que justo me recordaste a un amigo, muy buen amigo, queridísimo, que nos conocimos en pandemia de forma virtual, pero ya cuando nos conocimos, otro grupo de amigos, así estábamos varias personas, en persona, llegó y dijo, hola, soy tal, y soy documentalista. Y yo dije, wow, qué interesante. Claro, es como romper un poco el hielo, no nada más como muy formal, sino como hacer incluso como, tal vez pareciera como hasta tampoco tomarnos tan en serio nuestro personaje de cineasta o de director, directora, ¿no? Y más bien eso, como bajarnos del escalón y decir, somos personas todos y vamos a presentarnos y vamos a conocernos. Y luego, quien quita y podemos trabajar juntos, ¿no? pero es como desde otra postura, como lo estás planteando. Me encanta la idea. Estoy aprendiendo muchísimo, Bonnie, muchísimo, muchas gracias. Espero que también toda la gente que nos esté viendo nos esté escuchando. Y ahora, digamos que quisiera pasar como a otro bloque de preguntas respecto el mismo, como dentro del espacio de los festivales de cine. Hay momentos en los que nos topamos con gente y hay muchas veces que no tenemos proyecto, pero hay otras veces que sí tenemos proyectos, ¿no? Que estamos desarrollando una película, corto, largometraje, documental, animación, ficción, y entonces, pues tenemos que estar listos para picharla. Me acuerdo que cuando estaba haciendo mi maestría, yo hice un documental para graduarme, pero antes, o en el proceso en el que estaba desarrollando el proyecto, en una charla con una amiga, una colega muy querida, me dijo, a ver, estábamos en un café hablando de otra cosa, ¿no? De la vida y de los festivales de cine, una colega de festivales de cine, y entonces me dice, a ver, ¿de qué va tu docu? ¿Cómo vas con la maestría ya? No, pues me dice, no, a ver, píchamelo. Y entonces empecé a sentir así, ¿no? Un nervio y sentí que sudaba y, ¿sabes? Así el calor por ahí, o sea, no, me sabía perfecto mi película de lo que quería hablar y no supe picharla. Entonces, okay. ¿Cómo estar preparada para pichar? Además, en los festivales de cine, ahí yo estaba sentada con ella en un café y es amiga, pero en los festivales de cine te topas así con la gente escasos segundos, escasos minutos y ya, pues, como un momento efímero. ¿Cómo aprovecharlo?
You have to be able to do it in like, I think people give you 30 seconds at the most to make an impression, to say something that makes me want to hear more.
Okay.
And I always say that a pitch is, and I always say it, is a pitch is more than just a presentation of your project. It's an invitation to have a conversation about it. So, and people only want to have a conversation about something that they're interested in or that triggers them for some reason.
Voy a tomar notas.
You can quote me.
Sí, yeah. Formato APA. Bonnie Williams dijo.
So, and that is like, it's basically what you need to be able to say about your project. So if it's a documentary, you need to be able to talk. Very often for a documentary, you have like a what I call a hypothesis, the reason why you're making it. So you have to be able to say that, yeah, I'm making this documentary. If it's about a person that is very interesting or something, so you just need to say one thing or two things that make it interesting. Or if you've been following that person for years and years, that might be also part of what you want to say. I'm making a documentary about somebody I've been following for 12 years, and they're about to go run for election to be in a new country or something. I'm just making that up, you can tell. But it's and it's one sentence, because what you want to do when somebody says pitch it to me, what you want to do is say one or two sentences which make them ask for more. Okay. Like, wait, what do you mean? Because you don't have to sell the whole project in 1 minute, because that's impossible. Otherwise, it will be a very short film. So it's either you talk about the story, or if you're developing it, then you talk about the themes. Or, yeah, I'm making a project about child abuse in the Middle Ages, or it's a fiction, and it's half animated, and that's maybe not the best pitch, but it's something to make somebody go like, whoa, what? That you're talking about the Middle Ages, historical. You say something about animation. It's a fiction. You give the subject. So there's enough there for somebody to go, whoa. And it's not, and it's the difference of a lot of people think I have to tell the story of my film.
Yeah.
And it's more like you have to tell the story of the story, and not the story itself. In a short pitch, when you have the opportunity to have a longer pitch, then you have to be a bit clearer. There's the information that you want to get across. But it's the thing that it's these catchy things that you want to hook somebody to listen for more, basically. Does that make sense to you?
Sí,
That,
sí,
yeah.
sí, claro. Y sabes que me hace mucho sentido porque seguramente has escuchado esta leyenda que dicen que cuando James Cameron estaba produciendo, desarrollando el proyecto de Titanic, que no conseguía dinero para hacer la película, que no conseguía que ningún estudio le diera el budget pues, para filmar. Y entonces que se encontró con un ejecutivo de, ya no sé qué estudio fue la que la filmó, bien mal, ¿verdad? Este momento que estoy quedando, pero que se encontró con un ejecutivo del estudio que finalmente la produjo y que le dijo, es la historia de Romeo y Julieta en el Titanic. Entonces era como establecer una historia trágica, de amor trágico que todo mundo conocemos dentro de otra tragedia histórica que toda la gente conocía, ¿no? O al menos ese ejecutivo, ¿no? Entonces me parece que esto que nos dices, pues es eso, como tratar de hacer la historia lo más corta posible, pero también hablar de, o sea, como de jalarnos de ciertas cosas que la otra persona pueda conocer y que no necesariamente sea algo de mi proyecto específicamente, ¿no?
Exactly. And what you also said, what really rings true, is what he did in that example is he created almost a world. Because and if you're able to create to share the world of your project, of your film, it's not a film yet because it's not made. It's still a project. So if you're able to create the world, or whatever the world is that you want to make into a film, then that's also enough that's important. Because and also to think, like when you think of when you that's a perfect example, because you get a picture in your head, you can visualize it, and that's what you want to do in your short pitch. You want people to be able to visualize something, as opposed to understand what the story of what you're yeah. And it's hard because you're inside it. Because actually, when you're talking about your film and or trying to develop your project, you have to almost step outside of it, and you have to become you have to represent your project. You have to become the ambassador of your project, or the ambassador of your team, or the ambassador even of yourself. You have to represent, because you're not inside it anymore, and so you have to. What you want to do is get other people to come inside. So you need to kind of be able to show it from different sides, so that people go, oh, that's interesting, or oh, I'm not interested. And if somebody is not interested, that's fine. That's fine. It's like not everybody, that's again what we were talking about. Not everybody wants to have a date with you, because not everybody is interested in what you're doing, and vice versa. You don't want to go with them either. So it's the more you can talk about either yourself or your project, I mean, the more you're able to intrigue or interest somebody. And that's really all you can do when you're just meeting somebody, or at a cafe like you were with your friend, or here at the festival. It's just about sowing seeds, just putting seeds out, and and you're going to be pitching. Welcome to this world. You're going to be pitching all the time. But we're always pitching. If you're with friends and one person wants to go to one restaurant and the other one wants to go to the other restaurant, you kind of have to pitch. No, let's go there. It's better. The food's better there, or the service is better there. Let's go there. Or I like the chairs there. No, that one's on the water. Let's go. I mean, there's always an advantage that you bring that you're thinking the other person might be interested in, and that's kind of how you have to position your project. and yourself. So even if you don't have a project, it's also, you can position yourself as the thing I like, the thing that I do with all my films, all my films, is to try to solve problems from another point of view. I'm just saying something, but it's something that somebody might say, "What? What do you mean?" Hup, you have a conversation. And that's what this is what this is when we go back to pitching in the form of an informal pitch, when you don't have a project. It's just enough to hook somebody.
Sí. Y bueno, justo eso, o sea, es conveniente hacer estos pitch informales ahí, supongo que de ahí, o sea, bueno, más bien, o tú tienes porcentajes o estadísticas de dónde surgen más proyectos, de los pitch informales o de los pitch formales, de, bueno, a las 4 nos vemos en el café y entonces te voy a presentar mi proyecto.
I don't know if that happens at here. I don't think that happens. I think it's really important that you're not try to push something on somebody. I think it's really important to get when you pitch or when you present yourself, you are having an invitation for a conversation. And I think when you want to go more, you have to keep aware of the person you're speaking to, if they're inviting you to tell more. And you can always say, like, if you see that somebody is interested, but you don't have time, or you feel like, oh, they really are interested, you can ask, can I have a 15-minute appointment with you, or 20 minutes? So then you're not asking for them to sign a contract or anything. You're just asking for a little bit more time so that you can explain more and share more. And I think that's, and if somebody likes you already or is interested already, everybody makes 15 minutes. Sometimes, and I know a lot of decision makers and people who are producers, or who, even if they don't have any room for another project or they don't have anything, they're always interested to hear somebody that they don't know. If they're interested in you already, then they're interested to hear what you have to say. So yeah, but I really, really, really recommend that people do not try to push. Not like you're standing next to somebody, go, oh, you're that famous director. Oh, listen, I have a project here and it's this. Let me give you my card. Let me give you my information.
¿Sabes qué? Eso, qué bueno que nos lo dices y nos lo recuerdas, porque lo he visto muchas veces. O sea, gente joven, gente con experiencia, gente no tan, con mediana experiencia, digamos, y literal, ¿no? En las mochilas cargamos los proyectos. Ahorita ya los guiones pues son digitales, pero hace 10 años que traíamos los guiones así cargando en la mochila, ¿no? Y tú sacabas el guión y se lo querías dar y me ha tocado ver, es más, mira, aquí en el FICmonterrey, en un año, un invitado internacional, le dieron un guión, así en la mano, ¿no? El guión impreso, con sus grapas engargolado y todo. Y entonces, creo que lo terminó aceptando un poco más bien como por la situación de no regresárselo a la persona porque había más gente por ahí, pero cuando hubo el espacio, dijo, esto no lo puedo leer simplemente por derechos y por cuestiones legales. Si yo lo leo, ya estoy como semicomprometido o comprometida a leerla, a un tema legal. Entonces, así se fue a la basura. Ni siquiera lo ojeó. Entonces, creo que muchas veces la ingenuidad de la pasión, obviamente, ¿no? Pero por nuestra pasión por hacer nuestra película, somos muy ingenuos y pensamos que un productor o una productora o incluso un director, a lo mejor soy guionista, un director o una directora, pues podría leer mi guión y ando cargando con él, ¿no? O ando con mi USB y repartiendo los guiones. Y pues no, o sea, creo que tenemos que partir desde otro punto y me parece súper interesante que nos lo recuerden, ¿no? Muy, pues, como muy en el punto, ¿no? Que no se nos olvide que esto tenemos que hacerlo de otra manera, acercarnos de una manera más casual, ¿no?
Yeah, and also, I mean, if you ask somebody, will you read my script? And then they don't want to say no to you, they say yes, they take it, they throw it away.
Claro.
And then you think, and then you're waiting for an answer. But I mean, there's no human connection. Nobody's going to read it if they don't feel. And besides, there's always sort of in big production companies, they won't read your script. They'll have somebody else read it. So you need to go through the right channels, or you need to ask somebody, can it be, are you interested? But I mean, you have to be pretty far to have somebody who you've just met read your script. You don't have to be very far to have somebody who you've just met give you 15 minutes of your time to have another conversation. So it's not like that's the other thing about, I like to share that you should set yourself up for success in this. If you give a script and you think, yes, this is great, Netflix has my script, they're going to read it, I'm going to make a Netflix film, it's crazy. But if you should, it's important that you stay realistic and that you're in charge. Even if you're a student now, you're in charge of how far you can go, in a way.
Claro.
So you can always ask, if you dare to ask, can I make another appointment? Or what would be a way to have somebody read scripts? Do you even read scripts? So that you are getting information from people to understand, to develop your own understanding of how things work, as opposed to pushing it onto somebody else. I really do think that it's very important that you set yourself up for success. So even if you're going, and that's what I mean also, if you see a producer that you really want to talk to, and they're in the line, and you just sit there and go, okay, all I want to do is say hello to this producer and have one conversation, one moment where I can connect with that person. And I hope that, and I want to make it good, so that not like what your experience was like, hi, I'm Bonnie, nice to meet you. Then it's a waste. Then you hadn't thought ahead of what you want to achieve in that meeting.
Claro.
And even though that meeting, this can happen in a second. But if you see somebody, I just want them to remember me. I want them to, or I want something. I want to have a contact. Then you approach. So it's, and sometimes little successes lead to a better relationship than thinking that that you've pitched your film and you're going to get a contract. That's different. So.
Ok. Bueno, tengo una pregunta, Bonnie, que me surge ahora. O sea, si yo logro, hacer una conexión y le logro pitchar un proyecto de largometraje a un productor, a una productora, ¿no? Y hay un interés, después sigue obviamente un pitch formal en sus oficinas o en mis oficinas, en un café o algo así. O sea, ¿cómo funciona? Digamos, yo un poco me imagino el proceso y lo he vivido en algunas ocasiones, pero un poco para que tú nos platiques como desde el pitch informal en un festival de cine, en una camioneta, en el transporte, en una sala de cine, en la fila, como dices, de las palomitas, hasta llegar ya a un proceso formal. ¿Cuántas veces hay que pitchar el proyecto? ¿A quién hay que pitchárselo después? ¿Y cuánto tiempo nos lleva en promedio en tu experiencia que has?
There's different, yeah. There's no formula. There's different ways. So there's sometimes there are formal public pitches where either at festivals or at development labs where you are actually where your project is from paper. I don't know if you even know what paper is, people, but from your digital information that you're selected and that you're invited to come, and you have 5 or 7 minutes to pitch your film. And then there is not always a structure, not a formula, but there are certain elements that have to be in that pitch. However, that's a different story, because also, like, there's oftentimes where you get an appointment to go and speak to somebody because either you have made the connection at the festival, or you know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who says, okay, well, come, you have like 10 minutes, I'll give you 10 or 15 minutes in my office to tell me about your project.
Okay.
So I think it's really important that if you get that far, that you have to be prepared. So you have to have already a visual image, a log line, and a synopsis that they have already, that you hope that they have already read when you get there. Because that's the other thing, when you get there, they just didn't look at it. Maybe they thought, I'll see it when they get here, or they've read it. And so you always have to check at the beginning. But that's kind of basically what you need to have prepared, and also often a director's note or a producer's note about the background, or something about yourself, or why you're making this or something. So this is the material that you have to think about presenting before, either while you're speaking or in advance.
Okay.
And normally it's there is what I said, there's a formula for a public pitch event, because you have a certain amount of time, and you often have to, if you're in a depending on your phase of development, you can make a video of it and show. You can use visuals, or if you've already have done something before, you can show your previous work, or pieces of it, or you can show a trailer. But basically, when you have your chance to go and sit and talk to somebody, what you really need to focus on is bringing them into your world, so that they can make a decision in their mind about, does this world fit with my world? Or sometimes you get a conversation with not a producer or a director, but like a sales agent in the future.
Claro.
Or a distributor, and they're like, what kind of audience would be interested in this? Can I, where will this live, this project? What can we do with it? So I don't know if this answers your question, but it really is about, like, the role that, when I said before that you have to step outside of your role as filmmaker whenever you're pitching, and become the representative or the ambassador of your project, and to do it in different ways. You have to be prepared for that. So that, and sometimes it could take years before you get an invitation to pitch to somebody. So the other thing is, what they also say is, you can pitch the same project 100 times and get a no. It only takes one yes.
Claro. Claro, eso es súper importante recordarlo. Nos van a decir muchas veces que no, por un lado, y nos puede llevar años pitchar un proyecto, ¿no?
And then years to make it after you pitched it. And you think, because that's like, then you start dating. You've pitched, and then it takes years, and then you've pitched, and then you're gonna see if you can work together, and then you have to get the money to get together, and then you have to get the Sonia. It can take years, so be ready.
Claro. Gracias por las porras. Y bueno, a ver, todos estos materiales que nos dices, ¿tú recomiendas que los tengamos preparados así como en nuestro teléfono o en el iPad, así de, ay, pues no venía preparado, pero aquí tengo mi pitch, ¿sabes? Como o sea, como tengo que estar preparada con un dossier del proyecto,
It depends. It depends where you are. But for a festival, I think nowadays it used to be that people had a little flyer,
Claro.
with like a picture and maybe some information.
Sí.
Now people don't want the paper.
Sí.
So if you have a somewhere, like if you have something, a PDF that you can send later, like a 1-page thing, if you have, and it's not a pitch, you don't, if you're further on in your development, then you need to have a pitch deck, and before you can get to see, if you're that far, then you have a pitch deck, and there's a whole way of creating a pitch deck, which is the information that you actually submit. But I think and if you can put something online, then you're really great, because you just have to send somebody a link. Or if you have I mean, I don't know, I've been to places where people have just a card with a QR code, and then it brings you to the link, or whatever it is that you think represents your project in the phase it is in right now.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think that, I mean, it's really good to have something prepared, even if you're in a very early stage, not necessarily to give away in this week at the festival, but if somebody says, hey, can I see something else? Can I see something that you can follow up? Or another thing is you can show previous work. So you have a link to, even if you have just like a YouTube channel or something where you have other work, or you have your own site. But the other thing is that I always say, you can ask permission. Can I have your card? Can I send you something? And then you have time to go home and put together something, so that you don't have to, like, so the people who are here watching this now don't think, oh, I don't have anything. Oh no, it's fine. It's fine. Because you have it in your head, and you have it in your heart, and this is what you have to share at a festival.
Y para eso podemos prepararnos aún más en el taller que tú nos vas a dar el próximo 27 de agosto.
Yeah.
Y acuérdense que pueden escribir a industria@monterreyfilmfestival.com para que pues pidan informes. Hay una cuota de recuperación, pero bueno, pidan informes, y la verdad es que se aprende muchísimo de escucharte, de cómo de tomar pequeñas notas. Hay veces de cosas que yo creo que ya sabemos o que intuimos, pero que una vez como que alguien nos las pone así como en una especie de estructura, y dices, ok, lo tengo que hacer así, o hacerlo de esta manera me puede tener mejores resultados que si lo hago de esta otra manera, ¿no? Entonces creo que puede ser bastante fructífero. Bueno, no sé si tú quieres agregar algo más, Bonnie.
Well, again, I want to emphasize this idea of of preparing, or right now, like when you're finished watching us and speaking and listening to somebody else speak my voice, you can sit back and think for yourself. Okay, either what is my project, or how can I present myself? Because that's what you have to think about. How do you want to be seen by the other person? So how do you want to be seen as a professional, but also as a person? Because people also will only be interested in working with you if they think you're easy to work with, or maybe you're a genius, and they think, okay, this person is not great at communicating, but they are fascinating. That's also who you are. So I really think that I really wanted to say, in terms of preparing yourself and knowing step for step, is you have to, it starts with you, with who you are, and who you are, and here and now. And that's what you, and that's how you network. And those are the people who you want to, and that's what you want to connect with in the people that you speak to. So that's the one thing. So who are you? What is your project? Or what do you do? Because if you're a camera person or a special effects person, then you don't have necessarily a project, but you have something you do. And why do you do what you do? What is your motivation? Those really okay. So that's also what we're going to do in the workshop. The other thing is, oh yeah, what I said. Sorry, I'm going to put on airplane. Okay, sorry.
No, no te preocupes.
Life.
Exactamente.
The other thing I wanted to say is about I'm going to check my notes because I put some notes I wanted to say. I just wanted to say that, oh yeah, the best way to make a really good first impression is to concentrate.
Espera. Tamboritos.
Is to show that not you, but the other person is the center of attention. So it's a center of action. So it means you listen well. You listen and you show interest in the person you're speaking to. You're not, even if you don't get to say anything about yourself, but if somebody feels like they're being heard or being listened to or being interested in, I mean, we all like to talk about ourselves. Well, maybe we don't all like to, but we know ourselves best, or we hope we do, or we think we do, whatever. I don't want to generalize, but it's really nice to be asked about yourself so that you can share who you are. So that's the most important thing, is that if I feel like you're interested in me and you've connected to me, I'll remember you. So that's important. Okay. The other thing is, what I wanted to say is when you're talking, and even when you're pitching or talking to your friends or your, I would say practice with everything. Try your friends, try everything, but pay attention to the kinds of questions that you get. If you're trying to explain your project, for example, and you're getting a question like, I don't understand, like, what was that? Can you clarify this? You take that on board, because maybe the next time you tell somebody, you've clarified it. So you can learn from those kinds of questions. If you're getting questions like, oh, tell me more. Oh, how do you do that? Oh, what are you seeing? How do you see that? These are questions. These are invitation questions to share. So pay attention to those. That's the other thing. What else?
¿Qué más nos tienes? ¿Qué más tips nos puedes dar?
Yeah, I don't know, but what I do really want to say is stay present. Stay, if you're, yeah, and if you're talking to somebody who is really famous or really interesting, be in that moment and try to connect, because that's all you have. That's all you have. And oh yeah, one other, let me just check. I want to make sure I have anything. Claro. Okay. Oh yeah. So another thing that you can do is when you know that somebody is going to be there, or you see somebody that you're interested in, or you know that there's the possibility that you can meet a specific person, do your homework, do some research. Like, even if it's about their films, or if it's a producer about the projects that they do, or if it's about a cinematographer about the style that they work in, because that will give you something for your opening question or your opening remark. Oh, I saw that thing. I love that shot that you put with the, going. Then you really connect right away. Then the other person knows you know who you're talking to. So, and that's the other tip that I have. If you do get an invitation for your 15 minutes with somebody, go Google them and figure out who they are, so that you can actually talk to that person, because you never are talking to a company or a profession. You're always talking to a person. I think I've said that a million times just today, but I think it's really important, especially for people who are just starting, because I do know that people who are very experienced in the film industry, they often feel like, I've heard back that people feel that they either don't know me at all, they don't know what I do, they don't know me, they just know my name, or they're not interested in me. It's very obvious that they just want to jump on my success. The people don't like that either. So it's balance. I think the most important thing that I can give is I hope to give people confidence on every level. So if you're coming in, just be yourself and take a chance.
Ser nosotros mismos, ser nosotros mismos. Eso, con eso me quedo. Con eso me quedo y me quedo también con la frase que nos repetiste varias veces, ¿no? Pensar y que no se nos olvide que estamos hablando con otro ser humano. Antes que con otro profesional o con un productor o una productora que nos puede dar dinero o con alguien que nos puede dar trabajo, ¿no? Pensar que estamos hablando con otro ser humano. Creo que ahí puede partir todo el éxito de nuestro futuro cercano o lejano, ¿no? Porque estamos conectando con alguien, estamos haciendo un vínculo a partir de pues, una pequeña plática en un festival de cine donde esto suceda en el pasillo, de la sala de cine, en las filas de las palomitas, en la camioneta que nos lleva de un lugar a otro, o en una pequeña reunión, una conversación después de una película, ¿no? Entonces, pues bueno, Bonnie, no sé si tengas algo más. La verdad es que estos últimos tips también son maravillosos. Muchísimas gracias por compartir toda tu experiencia y todo tu expertise también.
El placer era mío.
Muchísimas gracias. Y bueno, pues nada, agradecerles a todos. Recuerden que el FICmonterrey continúa. Tenemos un montón de funciones presenciales en Cineteca Nuevo León y en el Cinépolis de Nuevo Sur en Monterrey. Pero si alguien nos está escuchando o nos está viendo en otra parte del país, pues estamos en Cinépolis Click con toda la competencia internacional, los largometrajes y también con las películas de la sección de paisajes latinoamericanos. Y estamos en Filmin Latino con toda la sección mexicana, largometrajes y cortometrajes. Muchas gracias a todos los patrocinadores, a todas las instituciones, a todos los colaboradores, a todos quienes hacen posible que el FICmonterrey suceda, en especial esta edición. Y pues bueno, Bonnie, nuevamente agradecerte tu tiempo. Nos vemos el próximo sábado 27 para el taller. Ahí estaremos, pero bueno, libreta y lápiz con bastante punta a todo lo que da, porque seguramente vamos a aprender todavía mucho más de lo que el día de hoy nos compartiste. Gracias al equipo técnico que está detrás de esta transmisión. Y pues bueno, nos seguimos viendo en el cine. Muchas gracias y hasta pronto.
Chao.
Gracias, Bonnie.